This is Kathryn Goetzke, host of the Hope Matrix podcast. We are here to share science, stories, and strategies for how to hope. I'm the Chief Hope Officer of the Shine Hope Company, and Shine is the mnemonic for how we teach hope. So when we talk about hope, we talk about how we use stress skills, happiness habits, inspired actions, nourishing networks, and eliminating challenges, which are our thinking patterns that get in the way of our ability to hope. Hope is a skill. You can measure hope, you can teach hope, and you can start practicing skills to activate higher hope in your life today. And on this Hope Matrix podcast, we aim to bring in guests, experts in science, people with stories, and those that have strategies for activating hope in your life. Hello, welcome everyone. This is your host, Kathryn Goetzke, host of the Hope Matrix podcast. Thank you so much for joining with us. I am so grateful to introduce to you a newish dear friend and someone I've been working with at the city and someone that knows quite a bit about hope. We have today Mr. Chris Hodges. Chris, how are you?
I'm well, Kathy. Thank you for having me here, and you're just a joy. I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. Well, I appreciate you too so much. It's been really great getting to know you better. And, we've had a few meetings and the story you told me, I think it was our second meeting, maybe, just about,
Mhm.
your journey and challenges and really all of the amazing work that you're doing in the world. I knew that I had to have you on here to speak more about
Oh,
all
thank
things hope. So
yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
appreciate
No
you
problem.
joining.
No problem. I consider it an honor for an opportunity to share my testimony and the experience that I have experienced with positive thinking and looking up and having hope and keeping hope alive, as my mentor Reverend Jackson says. Yeah, most
Yeah,
definitely.
absolutely. And it's a process. So,
It
and
is.
it's an active process.
Yeah.
Yeah, so really grateful to have you here. So why don't we start by just you telling our listeners a little bit more about yourself?
Oh, okay. Well, Christopher Hodges, of course. I am an employee with the city of Chicago with Mayor Brandon Johnson. I work as one of the faith coordinators and special events for the mayor's office. And what we do is we work within the community with faith-based initiatives. So I'm right up the alley with hope, faith, hope, all things work together, right? And
Yeah.
I grew up in church with my father being a pastor, and I am the music director for the church,
I
where
didn't know
my
that.
father, yeah, where my father is the pastor, and for 17 years, I served as I worked for Dorothy Brown, clerk of the circuit court of Cook County. 17 years there, I became the chief deputy clerk there. And there I was able to really see firsthand people that are hopeless. And I am so grateful for for have having the opportunity to instill hope in those people. There was a time where someone came to our counter and she wanted to get an order of protection against her child's father, and she was so broken, just so down, and just out of it. And we had a ton of paperwork we had to have her fill out. And I told her, I said, "Let's stop." I said, "Let's stop. let's take a deep breath. She took a deep breath, and I said, let's think about what your life looks like in a better light. And I said, just imagine it. And she began to think. I said, you have to choose to think this way. And she began to think it, and I literally seen her, like even her countenance, her spirit, her face, of course she had a smile. She started talking about, her children going to school, preparing for college. She started talking, and I seen it firsthand. I have several stories of that. Men coming out of jail, getting their running into problems, trying to get stuff expunged. And then they're, you know, when they fill out the paperwork wrong, they're like, oh, it's like, you're too close to quit. Keep the hope. Let's go, let's go, let's go. And I, a lot of times after conversating with you, I didn't realize the impact hope had on the human mind and the human body physically. I didn't realize that you brought that to my mind and you brought that to my attention. Even working with Reverend Jesse Jackson for pretty much all of my life, my grandmother was his chef for many years. She served in the bread basket. She served with Rainbow Push. And she did Saturday morning breakfasts, any dinners they did. She was a coordinator. So I was forced to go to Rainbow Push. Um, and then over time, I developed a love. Anywhere your parents tell you to go, you really don't want to go. But I developed a love, and they became a family. And Reverend um, would every time he got up, he would say, "I am somebody," and keep hope alive. So I've heard that my entire life, and it wasn't until I had an interaction with you, thankfully, that I noticed what that was. That continued remembering of choosing to keep hope alive, even in my own situation where 2 years ago I was in a car accident. I moved to Texas and I became a worship pastor there. And I was in a car accident where I broke my leg and I had to get a rod and I broke my wrist. And I was unable to take care of myself. I was in a very low place. And my faith in God was still there. But when you see reality, the church wasn't financially able to continue to pay my salary as well as hire a new worship pastor because it was going to take like a long road for me to recover, and they could not, handle that burden. So after exhausting my savings, I was at the barrel, so I had to move back to Chicago and stay with my parents, which is for me was humiliating. I thought, during there, but I had to think two different ways. Either I had two options. Either I was going to wallow in the reality of where I am now, or continue to choose to keep the hope of a better life, the hope of a brighter future, the hope of a better physical um, uh, life. Uh, During that time, I was 500 and I want to say 30 pounds. Um, but all during that process, I decided, Kathy, we have to make a decision.
I know. We sure
There's a
do.
decision that has to be made, and it's just one decision. That
Mm-hmm.
one decision is to keep hope alive. And you will be surprised how making that one simple decision
Mm-hmm.
will literally change your life. I am now down to 300. At 2 years later, I'm down 310 pounds. Kathy, when I get to
Oh,
two, if the scales say 299, y'all don't know me. You hear me? I'm gonna be stuck up. No, I'm just playing. But I, I decided. But not only did I make a decision then, I noticed, that Kathryn, I'm sorry, that I have to continue to make that decision, almost to the point where I have to make it on a daily basis. When I
oh
wake up
yeah.
in the morning, we have thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
reality hits,
Mm-hmm.
life happens,
Mm-hmm.
life happens, and I choose to have hope, and it is contagious. Did you know
Mhm.
that?
Yes, yes,
Like that joy,
absolutely. I
it
know.
it's contagious.
Mm-hmm.
So me being the way I was raised in the church, and I don't know what people feel about like the signs and all that stuff, but one of my friends says, "Oh, you're a Libra. You're a kind guy. You're so kind, whatever." But I love like people. So when people are down, I don't like it. I don't like
Mm-hmm.
confrontation. I don't like none of that stuff. I'm not like, saying that, oh my God, I'm all happy go lucky all the time. No, I deal with problems, but I deal with it in
Yes.
making the choices. But I I I noticed that when people would talk to me and they just get to spilling their life stories and it's all negative. And I said, oh, you don't have to be that way. There's another
Mm-hmm.
way. There's another option.
Yeah.
I'll never forget Mrs. Jacqueline Jackson, that's Reverend Jackson's wife. She says, Chris, in every situation, you have to always remember there's a God factor in everything.
Mm-hmm.
And having a God factor increases your strength to hold on to hope and faith. And when she said it, it's like a light bulb. Like, those cartoons where the light bulb come over your head and it just like comes
Yeah.
on. It
Right,
clicked.
right.
And she said to me, you have to keep the God factor ever before you. You know, your life can be turning downhill, but as long as you have God, there's a possibility that your life can change. Now, for those that do not, whatever God you serve, whatever, there's rules in life, period. We have people that don't believe in God. That's okay. There's a
Mhm.
rule of thumb, period. What you
Mhm.
sow, you reap. What you
Mhm.
give, you get back. So if you
Mhm.
keep giving positive thoughts out there, you're going to start experiencing it. You're going to start experiencing it. Whatever you
Mhm.
say out of your mouth, positive. Life and death is in your tongue. Whatever you say out of your mouth that's positive, it's gonna manifest. It's gonna come back.
Mhm.
Listen, I am 40 years old now. You can't tell me no different that it don't work.
Mhm.
So that's a
Yeah.
little bit about me.
Uh,
And let me just share this. Upon coming back to Chicago, not knowing where I would get my job from, I went to a job interview and they told me, unfortunately, you seem to be overqualified. I said, oh, wow. Like, I was either getting overqualified, underqualified, and I was in a wheelchair. So they could not say discriminatory, reasons why they didn't hire me. But I'm almost sure, at least that's what I thought. And I'll never forget, um, Mayor Brandon Johnson came to my home, supernatural. He came to my home and asked me to serve on his campaign as the faith advisor and the faith coordinator for his campaign. In my wheelchair, I was taking him to pastors. Of course, I, gathered me a team and I started taking him to pastors, and before I knew it, we were polling at 2%. And I looked up one day, we won the office. It was just so
mhm.
crazy,
Wow.
how that
Yeah.
happened. But if I was in a place where all I thought was negativity,
Yeah.
and I didn't see a brighter future, and I didn't see or keeping imagining a better life for myself. I
Yeah.
do not believe that God would allow those things to come to me because I would never appreciate it.
Yeah.
Because my expectation
Yeah.
would have been negativity.
Yeah.
But because I'm grateful that I had a mind and I surrounded myself around people that spoke positive, that spoke encouraging, that spoke about the God factor, that spoke about I am somebody, keep hope alive, that my father preached every Sunday. I surrounded myself around that. It wasn't just me choosing. I forced myself to be around people that were speaking positive.
Yeah.
And God allowed today
Hmm.
God allowed me to experience where I am now. And now looking back on it, I realize like I didn't label it as hope then. Like having that, I didn't label it as hope. I just thought I called it positivity, I guess. I don't know what, but
Hmm.
but now I know
Hmm.
it it was hope. I had
Yeah.
a sense of hope, and that hope was manifested. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
That's amazing. Yeah. And that's what we know about hope, right? Hope is a belief that your future can be better and the ability to make it so. So you've got to feel good about it. You've got to believe and you've got to take action. So if you just sit around and
Absolutely.
don't do anything, how can it improve? And I think too, bringing up the hopelessness part of it. I mean, it's so
Mhm.
easy when you look at hopelessness, it's a despair, so you feel bad and helpless to do anything about it. So when you're
Yeah.
injured, when you lose a job, it's easy to
Yeah.
dive into hopelessness.
Oh yeah.
And to get stuck there. It's easy when you live in communities that are oppressed. It's easy when you have health conditions. I mean, there's so many reasons that we can be experiencing hopelessness. Half of our country right now is experiencing a lot of hopelessness, and it's really
Yeah.
about learning what it is and learning, yeah, how do we activate hope even in the most challenging of times, even in the hardest of times. I
Yeah.
mean, I find it fascinating with you that you were able to lose the weight during a time of such
Yeah.
transition for you too. That's usually when people gain a lot of weight, because of the
Yeah.
stress and not managing the stress well. And so I want to dive into that a little bit more, too. And I it was a really meaningful experience for me to spend Christmas at the prison with you all
Oh
this year
yeah.
and to see the Reverend, I've never seen him do that, the I am somebody. And
Oh.
I mean, that our first of the shine, we have the shine framework, and the first thing is the stress skills and an affirming beliefs is a stress
Oh,
skill that we use. And to me, every child believing that they are somebody, every human being having that belief that they are someone it is foundational for hope.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. It really is. I would say that the reason why your platform is so imperative in this time right now is because, there are so many people that are hopeless for so many different reasons. And, there's a lot of people, hearts that are really turning cold towards humanity. And there's carelessness, people killing people just randomly. Reverend Jackson went to, I go every year with him to the jail on Christmas. And I tell my family, hey, you already know the rules. Chris is going to the jail. And to see those men and women in there, hear the inspirational messages and songs from the people that we bring with us, and we go to the door and we stand by, we smile, we shake their hand, we remind them that they are somebody, and we give them hope. Do you not know that after speaking to one of the sheriffs because I also have a friend who his name is Larry Roberts Jr. He goes into the jail, the county jail, and trains inmates how to cut hair. He has a barber school, and he does it for free. They can sign up for his program. He trains them how to cut hair. And one of the guys that was there said, "Hey man, guess what?" He says, "What?" He said, "I met Reverend Jackson." He says, "Really?" He was like, "Yeah." And he said the speech, you know, how he said, "Keep hope alive, I am somebody." He was like, "Man, he made us repeat it. He made us say it." I said, and then they was like, "Really? Really?" He was like, "Yeah, man." He says, "Man, you pretty charged." He was like, "I am." He was like, "Why?" He says, "Why are you charged?" He's like, "I don't know." He says, "I guess if he believed it, I should too. You know, like if he believed in me, I should too." So when Larry told me that testimony, I said, I have a responsibility to not only keep hope alive for myself, but to try to encourage others to keep hope alive. So while I was working at the clerk's office, I also had a mentoring program in our church called KLG Warriors. And we would take guys from off of the street and bring them into the church. We would do steps, you know, like drill team steps and, you know, teach them life skills, get them back into school, get them into college, give them a trade, you know, just really help them out. And one young man said something to me. He says, "Chris, if you can help me to get a job, I'll stop selling drugs." He said, "I don't want to sell drugs." He says, "I do this because it's all I have to do." I said, "Well, you do know that you don't have to do that." He says, "Well, if I don't sell drugs, I won't eat." And I said, "No, I get it." I said, "But that's what we're here for, to give you another option. You know, there's another chance, there's another opportunity. But if you don't have the power within you or the decision made to change your decision about your life and deciding to keep hope alive within your heart, then you won't see it."
Yeah.
This I went um I went to Texas, and this gentleman is getting ordained as an elder.
Wow.
It, I right now I'm still all about, you know, pushing for, you know, people to gain hope, pushing the message, "I am somebody," pushing the message, "Keep hope alive." But right now, I'm recruiting people to help recruit people to keep hope alive for other people.
Yeah.
And I'm also, God has blessed me with favor at the mayor's office to lift organizations that do that, like the
Mm.
Lake Barbers College, like these different trade schools, and having your curriculum to teach us how to communicate hope,
Mm.
give us guidelines. So if anybody's listening to me, this woman here has a phenomenal curriculum around this word hope, this movement hope, I'll call it like that. That is phenomenal. That I think everyone, every city in the state of Illinois, every state in the United States of America needs to sign into it, because I know for a fact that if you can keep hope alive, you can also encourage someone else to keep, and the chain start trickling down to the point where you can start seeing a real change in your neighborhood where you live. Kathryn, the mayor he did an initiative called the Day in Award. And there was a young man, it was like a group of them on his grandmother's porch. And they were just hanging out, just hanging out. And so The neighbor 2 doors down told the mayor, "Hey, mayor, them boys over there, that's all they do is hang on the street. That's all they ain't no good. They ain't gonna never be. Y'all need to take them, move them out of here." So the mayor walked over to him and says, "Hey guys, what you doing? What do y'all do on a daily basis? Like, what's going on?" A positive note, he says, "Hey, if any one of you all want to change what you're doing and don't want to do this anymore, contact this person." So it was one of his handlers. One of the young men took the handler's card. He says, "I've always wanted to." He was like, I'm an artist." And he says, "I don't know what we can do." He was like, "Well, can you draw?" He was like, "Yeah, I can draw." He was like, "Have you ever thought about drawing like haircuts? Like it's the same kind of, skill." And he was like, "Oh, I love it. That's easy money. I'll do it. I'll do it." He's 19. So we hooked him up with Larry Barber College. Larry Barber College has an opportunity where they can get federally funded to pay for the school, housing, and they get a stipend. This young man went there, been in the program, is on the verge of graduating, and has been enrolling people in his neighborhood to this program. They're living on the campus site. So when we go back over there, that neighborhood does not look the same. You want to know why? The mayor could have took what that lady said and had the police officers investigate that little area. But he changed that. And I'm not giving a shameless plug for the mayor. I'm just telling you what I've experienced of what hope can do for a community. And that's why I appreciate you taking your curriculum to the government side of it and getting this in legislation and giving this in the curriculum in the government side to help us push this, because it can literally change. And it also dives into mental health.
Yeah.
It dives into mental health. It dives into physical health. So yeah, Kathryn, you have a huge responsibility and you're literally changing the world. So I applaud you. I appreciate you taking this yes, living out your purpose and encouraging others to do the same. It's so inspiring to see you do this and, be bold enough to go. I mean, let's be real. When you first came to me, Kathryn, and you said, "Chris, I have an idea about hope," I was like, "Oh, great." I was like, that is so cheesy. That was so cheesy. But when you start talking about it as passionately as you did, and then you start, you know, peeling back the layers of how positive hope can, a positive role hope can play in the lives of people, I start seeing in my own life personally where I didn't know what to label it. I didn't know what to label it, but it was hope all along. And it was hope that got me to where I am. I'm not saying I have arrived, I am still growing, but I am not where I used to be. I'm not what I used to be. I think I'm not, wait, it says, I'm not what I want to be, but I thank God I'm not what I used to be. It was hope the whole time. So you in this platform, I am committed to help you push this narrative. You know, I said, text this person, but don't tell them I gave you my this. I was like, text this person, do this. I want to help this because Reverend, he must have known. He must have known about it. He must have had a prophetic strategy to continue this work with, not even really peeling the onions where you did it. See, everybody got a purpose. And your Reverend's purpose was to get that word out. And you can stand on his shoulders. But now with a day and age where we need to see and understand and explain, this generation needs to know. We're in the generation of the know. I don't just tell me what to do. You need to tell me why I'm walking down the street this direction.
Yeah.
And your platform and
Mhm.
your curriculum is doing that. And if mayors around this country would adhere to and really embrace it and really take time to hear you out, they'll be bought in. They just need to hear you out.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You are so sweet. I mean, this is not a plug for our work. I mean, but I'm so grateful. You're making me cry.
Yeah.
You
Oh
know,
no.
I know in a good way, in just such a touching, meaningful way. I want to tell you when we do, we've been doing this work around the world, and in the US specifically, I have teachers come to me to say, and we have them create their nourishing network, like write
Mm,
down, fill this out, and
mm,
identify at least one trusted adult in your life that you can count on in times of need. And half of our kids don't have anyone. And when you think about what Mayor Johnson going up to that youth, that's potentially the first time that kid ever had someone that believed in them, that believed in their potential. And to me, and I want to work to get more of the Reverend, some of what he did into how we teach hope around the world. I mean, I think it's, making that claim of I am somebody, having that belief that the future can be better than the
yeah,
present,
yeah,
identifying people that you can count on in times of need. It's so critical. How can we
very.
expect our youth not to be in jails when they're not getting guidance from adults and love from adults and
Oh yeah.
direction,
Mhm.
just, yeah,
Absolutely.
wow.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
many.
I know it's not like I know you're asking the questions, but I do have a question. Can I ask?
Okay, of course you can. Yes.
What made you dive into creating a curriculum around the idea of hope? And I know this
Yeah.
podcast might not even be about hope, but
No, it's
I'm so
about it. Yeah.
okay. I'm just so
Oh,
excited about
yeah.
this newfound revelation that you brought to our table. I'm just excited about it. But I do want to know, like, what made you say, okay, there's strategy around here. There's there's a possible movement here. Like what took
Yeah.
place?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it came from looking at why do some people die by suicide and others not when they have, similar challenges. What really is it that drives? So I initially wanted to get to the root cause of why do people choose to take their lives? And so I
Mm,
got into the research and looked at study after study after study that was
mm,
done on suicides, and hopelessness came up as the single consistent
wow,
predictor across every study. And then not just suicide, also violence. Violence is driven by hopelessness, a sense of
wow,
despair and a feeling of helplessness that you have the power to
mhm,
change anything.
wow.
And the primary symptom of depression.
Yeah.
And I said, well, then why don't, and I have a suicide attempt myself. My dad died by
Mm,
suicide when I was 18 years old. So
mm,
I'm super committed to really understanding this at the root cause of it. And if we want to solve it, how do we do that? And so once I found out it was hopelessness, I thought, why don't I know what it is and why don't I know how to get to hope? And
mm,
they were measuring hope, but they weren't teaching you how to hope. And I thought, well, if they're measuring it, and if we know what hopelessness is, and when you break down hopelessness, it's emotional despair. So you feel sad, angry, afraid. You
mhm.
can always manage those emotions.
Yeah.
You can learn how to manage them in healthy ways. And you can always get out of helplessness and into
Mhm.
action. Might not be
Yeah.
the action, might not be the goal you want. You might have to re-goal, So I realized it's something that you can teach as a skill. So I had the hypothesis and I proved out and as we increased hope, anxiety and depression went down,
Mm,
confidence went up, connection with others, all of these things. And I thought, if you can teach this as a skill, we have to teach the whole, like we have to ensure
Yeah.
Everyone knows what hopelessness is, how to manage it, and how to get to hope. And that's what building the whole framework is. I want people to just, the more challenges you have, the more you have to shine, the more you have to practice the framework. Like you say, it's an intentional decision every day. It's and biology comes into play. So you have to understand your stress hormones, how they work, and what they
Yeah.
do to your health. And when you're in stress, when you're in chronic stress and you're violent, you get dopamine. You get a dopamine hit from that
Mhm.
violence. Well, that
Yeah.
feels better from your place of despair. And so what you all are doing and what you illustrated perfectly with your
Mhm.
example is you're giving kids other ways to get their dopamine, really
Yeah.
healthier
Yeah.
ways, through
Mhm.
art or through drawing or through
Right.
connection with others or through
Mhm.
actual work. But
Yeah.
but it's about teaching these skills to kids and not shaming them for ending up in jail because we're not teaching them. And these are all like really important things to learn at a very young age. What is our stress response? How do we manage it in healthier ways?
Mhm.
What are happiness habits? How do we get our happy hormones in healthy ways versus
Yeah.
unhealthy ways? All of these things. And until we start doing this in society and ensuring everyone knows and we practice together as a community, we
Mhm.
can't expect for violence to end. We can't expect for
Right.
addiction to end, all of these things. So
Yeah.
it comes from a very deep spiritual place too. I mean, I feel so called to learn
Mhm.
from the most brilliant minds and then incorporate it into a way that the normal person can
Yeah.
understand, as much as possible. So, yeah.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I feel like we all have a right to hope, we all have the right
Absolutely.
to dream of a better future for ourselves
Oh,
and our kids. So I want to ask about your shine skills quick. We won't go like deep into it, but I do want to know
mhm.
them. Yes. So your stress skills. So how do you manage your stress? And especially the weight. I mean, losing that much weight. I mean, so many people struggle with that on a
Yeah.
daily basis.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we get
Mhm.
triggered by things, sadness, anger, fear. Like, how do you manage those emotions in healthier ways?
When I was about, I would say like 17, 16, 17, I was in high school. I was overweight, very depressed, and then you come to a place of when you want to kill yourself, there's no reason to live. And you label that, and it's labeled as hopelessness. There's no hope to live. You have no expectation of
Mm.
anything positive coming to your life. But my dad called my mom, and this is the scar. I want to, show the scar on my wrist. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's there. So my dad called my mom and was like, hey, I'm bringing McDonald's home for the kids. And so she told everybody, clean up, you put your toys away. Dad's coming home with some McDonald's. So when she yelled that through the house, I'm sitting here bleeding and I'm like, I have McDonald's coming. I don't want to die. Like, I want to live. It's so embarrassing. But it he used my struggle at the time, because food was a struggle for me when I was a teenager, to save my life. What that taught me was whatever state I'm in, because I have hope, I know there's two things that can happen. I can either fail and learn, or I can succeed and learn. Either way it go, I'm winning. When my mother died, I was very hopeless. My heart was broken. She was my rock. My father is my rock, but I'm a mama's boy. It is. I love my mom to pieces. And I thought I couldn't imagine my life without her. But what I decided to do is, because I'm a Christian, I decided I love her so much. Let me live my life according to the Bible, to see her again.
Mhm.
So the hope I began to live for is to see my mother again.
Mhm.
So my tragedy, I find a way
Mhm.
to turn it around to benefit my life. There's a scripture that I use that helps me deal with every problem that I face. And it says, all things, that's very important that you understand that. All things, the good and the bad, work together for the good of those that love the Lord. Everything you go through can be a positive situation in your life if you allow it and choose to think that way. It becomes very comfortable to think and wallow and to embrace. Now, don't get me wrong, when trials come and when frustrating or hurt come, I don't ignore it. Like, I acknowledge that hurts.
Yeah, right.
I
Yes.
acknowledge that hurts.
Yeah.
But what's the next step for me?
Yeah.
So I over time, the way I choose to handle my stress and my problem is with the knowing of nothing stays the same forever
Yeah.
in this life. Nothing
Yeah.
lasts forever. Nothing stays the same. So if you're in a bad situation, I promise you, I prom if you're in jail, if you are in jail listening to this podcast, I promise you, you're going to have some enjoyable moments in jail. You will.
Mm.
Keep hope alive. And I practice that. Does trials come? Does stress come? Does pain come? Yes. But just like my trainer said, Chris, no pain, no gain. And I'm like, I don't want to, like, I don't care
Yeah,
about that, but
I
he's
know.
true. In order
Yeah.
to gain muscle, you lift them weights, right?
Yeah.
I do it the same way emotionally. But I will
Yeah.
say this, Kathryn, and we're going to go there. I did seek counseling.
Mhm. Good
So
for you.
I want to encourage everyone, you don't have to do this alone because
Mm.
sometimes it can be very difficult to, in the beginning, in the
Yeah.
beginning stages, trying to, change my life. And I was trying to do it alone, but, you know, it's better to do it with someone that can help you dissect how you feeling. We may
Mhm.
feel one way, and it may be the wrong way to view that. And someone can come along and help you. A professional can help you. And it don't mean you're crazy. Kathy, would you
Mhm.
tell the
I
world
know.
going to counselors
Exactly.
do not mean you're crazy?
I know. It does not.
Like
Everyone. Yes. Everyone needs a
my
therapist.
rich friends go, yeah. And
Exactly.
they help you train your mind.
Yes, I
You
know.
need we need the help. Yeah.
We
So
do.
that's
I
the way I deal with. I go for help. I seek out help. If my back is against the wall,
know.
I
Nice.
cry out for help because I refuse to end in with negativity.
Good for you. Yes.
Yeah.
And your happiness habits. So are you nutrition? Like, did you have to change your nutrition, exercise, all of that to get on a regime for getting healthier?
Yeah. So with eating, because I found out that it was a stronghold controlling my life, I did what is called intermittent fasting,
Mm,
where
yeah.
I would not eat for a certain period of time. From I will only eat from maybe like 3 till like 4 hours within a day, and then the rest of the day I will find other activities that I enjoyed, and I would do them,
Good for
whatever it
you.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had
Yeah, and
to
then
fall out of a relationship with food.
yes. Yeah, and with
I'm
other things, you got to replace it with healthy substitutes. I
absolutely
I was a smoker once. I had to run instead. And like when you can't
really
run and smoke, yeah. Yeah. And it just, because
yeah.
you can't breathe. So yeah, it was pretty amazing.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I am
I would
so, and
I would
yeah.
I was gonna say this one thing about healthy habits. My counselor helped me identify what I really enjoyed. Like I knew what I enjoyed, but she really said, Chris, you like to watch TV and watch movies. You like to read books. You and she just tells me what brings me joy, and she says, why don't you do that? And I was like, why don't I do that? I'm gonna do that.
I
like
know.
she did that for me. And so I
Yeah.
just I encourage therapy.
Yeah, I do too. Absolutely. It doesn't mean anything's wrong with you. To me, it means you're smart. And, when you look at all of the E and shine is all the challenges that our brain does to like trick us, like automatic negative thoughts, and when we ruminate and when we worry, and like there are all of these things, negative bias. And therapists can help us see through all that and help us get to thinking more clearly, more rationally, getting present, helping with any trauma. We all have trauma. It's just a matter of
Absolutely.
how much trauma, and that
Yeah,
stays with us until we really heal it.
it really does. And surrounding yourself with people that speak positive, that encourages you, holds you accountable, don't let you
Yeah.
wallow. You have to surround. If you have friends that misery loves company, you run. You have to choose to run. You have to really fight for your life.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have
And your
to.
hope. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Your hope.
And each
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, it's not quantity of friends, it's quality. Are they nourishing you? Are they getting where you want to go in life? Are they holding you back? Yeah. Oh my
Absolutely.
gosh. It has
Absolutely.
been so wonderful, Christopher, talking to you. Do you have any final thoughts or anything else you want to
Yeah.
share before we check off? I know I've kept you very long. I'm so grateful. I know you're very busy.
No, 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 no. I do want to encourage everyone to, you know, like I know everybody have their religion and stuff, but for me personally, I have to speak on my relationship with God. And without having God in my life, I know for a fact I would not have hope. Like I wouldn't be able to see it, you know. And embracing and accepting the love of Jesus, I just want to encourage those that may hear my voice that are in a low place and that is down. I want to remind you that there is one that loves you exactly the way you are, right where you are, and to remember that his love is strong enough to pick you up from where you are and supernaturally change your life and your situation. And I want to encourage everyone to lean into God. And I only can say that because that's what I experienced. Find another religion that works for them, for you, great. But I'm telling you my truth, and my truth is that Jesus Christ was a shift changer for me. It's almost emotional because he literally changed my life. And it started here. It started in my mind. And there's a song that my mother used to sing. It says, my hope is built on nothing less than Jesus Christ and his righteousness. I dare not trust no other sweetest frame, but only lean on Jesus' name. And I want to leave everyone with that frame that all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord. Thank you, Kathryn.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful. It was so
No
magical
problem.
talking to you. I just adore
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
I'm
I
so
love you
grateful to
too.
know you. Yes, I
Likewise.
love working with you in Chicago. We're going to do so many
Yeah,
great things together. I'm super excited.
absolutely.
I
Yeah,
appreciate.
let's set up a meeting, so to get
Yes.
stuff going. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We will do that. And listeners listening in, thank you so much
Mhm.
for sharing this time with us. And please,
Yeah.
go ahead and share this if so inspired. And you are not alone.
No.
We are all in this together.
ab-
Absolutely. It does get better. I mean, eventually, those emotions do pass. So
Yeah.
can't stay in that sadness forever or the anger.
No.
And we've got to channel that into innovation, positive
Yeah.
changes for humanity. So let's work together to do that. Thank
Yes.
you so much. All right, everyone, have a blessed day. Thank you. So, thank you all for listening in to the Hope Matrix podcast. We want to shine a light that hope is teachable, hope is measurable and teachable, and provide you with actionable insights for how you can start activating hope in your life today, and provide a framework so you can start talking about hope with other people and practice these skills together because we are better with hope. Please feel free to check out theshinehopecompany.com where we list all of our resources around how to hope. We have a lot of free programs for how to hope, including the 5-day challenge, our hope infographic with a lot of skills that showcase how to hope and articles of how to incorporate hope into your life. We have the Hope Beat Weekly, which is a weekly newsletter that shares strategies for hope. We have a My Hope Story template, so you can write your own hope story today. Also, My Hope Hero, so we can share what our heroes are doing to activate hope in their lives. And this is especially good with youth, so they can start looking up to people that have overcome similar challenges to them and seeing how these heroes use the Shine Hope framework. We have a Hopeful Minds for Teens program, a Hopeful Minds overview, educator guides. We have a new evidence-based college course so you can activate hope on the college campus. There are programs in the workplace, overview courses, 90-minute courses for learning the what, why, and how to hope. What I want you to know about hope is it's a skill. You've got to practice these skills to become hopeful. It's easy to fall into despair and helplessness when we deal with challenges in life, and it takes intentional work and practice to get to hope. And yet it is always possible. So no matter what life brings, keep shining hope. Thanks so much for listening in. Have an awesome day. And of course, I've got to add that this program is designed to assist you in learning about hope. It should not be used for medical advice, counseling, or other health-related services. I, Fred, the Shine Hope Company, and myself, Kathryn Goetzke, do not endorse or provide any medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. I am not a medical doctor. The information provided here should not be used for the diagnosis or treatment of any medical condition and cannot be substituted for the advice of physicians, licensed professionals, or therapists who are familiar with your specific situation. Consult a licensed medical profession or call 911 if you are in need of immediate assistance. And be sure to know the crisis hotline, 988, if you are in need of support. Thanks a bunch for listening. Take good care of yourself and keep shining hope.